Rob and Robbo.
Streaming live across the globe, Anjali Rao, Rob McKnight and David Robinson.
Ange, Rob and Robbo. News and views, entertainment too. See Ange, Rob and Robbo. Ange, Rob and Robbo Show. Rob and Robbo Show.
Welcome to the Ange, Rob and Robbo Show.
Indeed, welcome is the word I would use as well. Thank you, Mr. Voiceover Man. Joining us as always for another big edition of the Ange, Rob and Robbo Show is the one and only Anjali Rao. Hello, Ange.
Hello, Mr. McKnight.
Fabulous to see you tonight. And of course, Robbo's here too. Hello, Robbo.
Thanks, guys. Great to be here with you as well.
Him again.
Oh, my God.
Really?
Yeah, who am I with? I'm with Amanda and I'm with Roger. Are they your names? Is that who I'm with tonight? Amanda and Roger. Great to be with
you're a very funny man, Robbo, and I could not do this show without you. I love you very much. You know that. Hey, look, big show coming up.
Hold on.
It's true. It's true. He does.
I've never heard this kind of loving...
Do you know what gets me, Robbo? Every time I'm nice to you, you think something bad's about to happen.
Yeah, that's true. Anyway, it's been a great run. Yeah. What is it? Episode 153. It's been a great 153 episodes.
And he turned up for half of them. So I'm in a mood. Hey, Bruno Boucher, the list king, is coming up a little bit later. We have no idea what he's talking about today. We never know what he's going to talk about. But Jason Roses, our entertainment reporter, is making news. He's been in the Daily Mail again, and they're saying that he's going to be a big part of the show. He's dropping a major bombshell, and it is my goal tonight to find out. That's coming up a little bit later. But in the meantime, let's get into our hot button issues. And a priest has been kicked out of his home and his church over a situation many in the community find themselves in every day. His crime? He got a divorce. That one decision has turned his life upside down, and he now faces financial ruin and homelessness. Anglican priest Father David Smith appeared on Channel 9's A Current Affair tonight. Here's what he had to say.
I was given sort of 6 months to get my marriage back together or recognise that I'd be terminated.
How did that make you feel?
It's hard. I mean, for me, this isn't just what I do, it's very much who I am.
The priest of 30 years divorced, a sin in Anglican eyes so great, it's unforgivable. Father Dave effectively ostracised, banned from preaching, the Sunday service, performing weddings and baptisms. And next week, he'll be homeless, booted from the church grounds and told he's no longer one of them. His career over.
This is a church that prides itself on love and acceptance. It's hard to understand why they would put you through this.
There's a certain irony there, yeah. Look, it's tougher some days than others, you know. Some days I find it debilitating. But, you know, I'm a fighter. I've got to pick myself up, try and focus on the future for myself and my children.
Robbo, divorce is a common occurrence, but it's still taken very seriously within the church. What do you reckon? Is this an over-the-top reaction, or is it fair enough on their part?
Absolutely fair enough. You know the rules when you start. You know the rules when you play a football game, when you play cricket. There are also certain things you need to adhere to in any kind of employment. It doesn't matter if it's with the church or if it's with a private company, it's the corner shop or a Fortune 500 organisation. It doesn't matter. There are rules, and he knew about them. The other thing is, I would never want anyone to be homeless. I never want anyone to go through pain like this. But he's been part of a church that is also vilified and being negative against many groups of people throughout the community over his 30-year career. If he's in the Anglican Church, we just have to assume that he's believed in all of those things. So, I mean, it's kind of coming around to you. And I think, you know, that's just the way it is. You knew the rules when you started. I'm very sorry that your marriage failed, but you knew the rules when you asked that woman to marry you. You knew what the chances are of it failing, and that would mean that you'd have to leave the church. Sorry, what? So are we going to start changing the rules? Because remember, religion is very rule based.
All right, I think we've pulled a bit of a scab back there, but. What I would say, Robbo, this guy actually seems to be very progressive. He's a very liberal-minded priest, by all accounts.
It's the terms and conditions of his employment. His employment by the church are those rules. He has broken those rules, then he can't be employed by the church.
You're actually going to find this shocking, Robbo. I agree with you.
Oh my God,
it's not
you
like
too.
a normal job. It is a job within the church. Angeli, I know you disagree. I'm seeing you shake your head.
I do.
I'm going to give you the floor.
You know, it actually made me cry, and I'm getting a bit emotional just thinking about this poor guy and what he's given to the church and how they can treat him like this. Ugh, sorry. You know, the first Anglican was Henry VIII. The first Anglican was Henry VIII, you know, and he loved himself a bit of a divorce, didn't he? You know, I'm divorced and I'm a practicing Anglican. And this story makes me really embarrassed to be one because, okay, yes, the church has a lot to answer for, but all the way through, you know, it preaches forgiveness, etc., and that, you know, we are all human and the only perfect entity was Jesus Christ and God. Where is the forgiveness here? And, you know, it's absolutely no wonder at all why, you know, the youth congregation is going down a bloody U-bend. It's because there's no one for them to relate to. There are just these, you know, gnarly old goat dudes preaching about, you know, smiting and being smote. They should be kissing Father Dave's feet for all the wonderful things that he brought to the church. Okay, say they put Father Dave aside. His 4 children, for God's sake, they didn't get divorced. How can the church punish them? Literally, what the hell? I'm just incredulous at this. And yeah, I am a bit emotional.
Which is fair enough. And I do love your passion. But I do come back to it. As a priest, you do know the rules. And one of those rules is not getting a divorce. I think
rules need to be overhauled. Rules are overhauled all the time. This is just shocking. It's absolutely shocking.
But when you're in that arena, do you have to accept the rules of the game? Yes, push for change. And as I said, this guy seems very liberal-minded. He seems like you know what? If there was a priest I was going to sit down and have a drink with and have a chat with, this is the guy, I think. I'm really drawn to him by what I've seen in the articles and on A Current Affair tonight. But I've got a lot of problems with the church, what they've allowed, what they've covered up. I think in the scheme of things, a guy getting a divorce is not a big deal when there's been abuse and all that, you know, all that kind of stuff. But these are the rules of the institution he's in, isn't it, Ange?
Well, this is the perfect time to, you know, everybody get together, you know, put your goat dude heads together and figure something out, because this is dealing with people's emotions, you know, not something that was written in a book centuries ago. This is about, you know, you've got to get with the times. I mean, even, you know, people joining the priesthood, that's just getting less and less and less because of, you know, rules like this is part of the reason. They're so rigorous. And who can deal in any sort of an institution like that? Yes, okay, of course, you know, all right, you know, he knew that divorce was bad. I'm sure that when he got married, he didn't expect to get divorced. Like when I got married, I didn't expect to get divorced. It happens. It's human emotions, and everybody has to get with the times, and that includes the church. And seriously, to sort of harp on this ridiculous, ancient nonsense, you're just completely sidelining, you know, such a big part of society that maybe would be in the church. Maybe they would find it, you know, a comforting, accepting place to be, rather than a no, you can't be here, you can't be here, you can't be here, which is exactly what a ruling like this does. I'm absolutely appalled by it.
Okay. All right, let's move on, because in the fight against youth crime, the Queensland government is now engaging the efforts of parents and guardians to bring those offenders under their care into line. It's all part of the Palaszczuk government's youth crackdown. Now, this would see parents and guardians of young people on bail required to dob them in if they breach their requirements. Currently, under Queensland law, youth bail breaches are not an offence. That's something the LNP opposition wants changed.
There are not consequences for actions, you will never get a young offender to take responsibility. And we're going to continue to pressure this. So I'm not going to be childish and do the old, well, if you don't do this, I won't back yours. They've put forward some suggestions. We'll back them because we believe it's a step in the right direction. But I'm asking the Premier not to be childish. We want breach of bail to be restored, and we think that is a fair and reasonable request.
A criminal offence, excellent.
Ange, I've got to say, this is tough because I do think there should be consequences for bail, breaking bail conditions. I think that needs to be taken very seriously. If you're a parent, how hard is it to think you would dob in your own child?
Of course. And I was going to, ask you, because, you and I both have kids, Rob. Would you grass on your kids if they were wreaking havoc on the community? Okay, not all of your kids. You can just choose one. You pick which one. Would you grass on them?
Do you know what? I think that if I was at a loss and if I had tried everything and my child was out of control, maybe.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. Of course, it would be one of the most difficult things that a parent would ever have to do. But I think that, if my son was repeatedly breaching bail, God forbid that he would ever need bail or, need the court system. But I do think that I would. And I think that, with what's happened today, if the situation with youth crime wasn't so dire, I'd say there's absolutely no way that when you bring the parents and caregivers into it, that you can hold an individual to account for another individual's actions, related or not. But I think it's well and truly time for something like this now, and much more besides. But when you look at the family situations of repeat offenders particularly, it often ends up making total sense that they ended up where they did. And those parents or guardians don't give a damn often what these kids are up to, which in my mind makes them complicit. And, if you can be prosecuted for knowing about a crime and not reporting it, then why should this be any different, I guess? But I don't, unfortunately, think that this will work, because on the reverse side, these young thugs could also not care less that their caregivers' heads are going to be on the block if they go off on another crime spree. Yeah, how do you make that work?
Well, that's exactly right, Robbo. There's no denying that youth crime is a problem across the country. Aren't police just doing their best?
Look, I don't think they are. And in that same interview with Alan Jones, the opposition leader here in Queensland, went on to say that it's a generational problem, which was kind of a little bit of this for me, kind of shaking their, dusting their hands off without any kind of responsibility. In Queensland over the years, we've had both LNP and Labor governments. This idea that we can blame it on a generational problem is really unfair. We're going to hear a little bit more of what the opposition leader had to say to Alan Jones now.
Interesting figure that 10% of juvenile offenders are responsible for 48% of the crime. I mean, the problem, David, surely is that anyone can be a parent, and many parents are hopeless. Many kids are criminals because their parents are criminals and they're on welfare.
Yep, it's a generational issue. And when the government says 10% of people contribute half the crimes, to me that says, well, okay, well, let's focus all your resources on making sure that you clamp down on that.
Absolutely.
So I'm also a believer at the front end. You've got to try and get people into work, get them training, get them to actually be valued members of society. Everyone deserves a second chance. But you are dealing with a generation of kids that they know their way around the law. They drive a bus through it. And when you have a situation where you can't even do them for breaching the bail condition, is there any wonder they're just marauding through our streets? We've got to get serious about this.
No. Excellent stuff.
Yeah, excellent stuff there. Alan Jones speaking to the LNP opposition leader, David Falusi there. Look, the biggest thing I think is do them. I hated that kind of language. Also generational. Well, you have been in government, the LNP, not just you, but it doesn't matter. You've been in government, the Labor has been in government. Do something about it at the beginning of the bloody problem. Don't then sit there and go, it's a generational problem and, people back there did the wrong thing. Start doing something different now, or you know what, you're going to start getting the same results that you keep getting. This idea of seeing the head of political parties coming up and go, we're going to be tough on crime, we're going to be tough on you. It doesn't work. Do something different. Find out why these people are reoffending. Find out why you've got 12-year-old kids in Townsville hijacking cars. Find out why, what's happening there. Don't then get in front of the electorate and say, oh, we're just going to throw the book at them. That's what we've got to do. And you've got Alan Jones saying, yeah. What? You've got a responsibility. And the problem with, I think, politics, especially in Australia, is they govern and they politic for the now. I think I just dribbled then, sorry. I was getting so excited. I really did just dribble. I'm so sorry.
Robert, you're on a roll.
I'm sorry. But they govern for now, they don't govern for the future. A great example is, and again, I'm going to use the Queensland governments for an example. There was an immense amount of data and research that said that Queensland was going to have a population boom. Now, obviously, the sitting governments of the day, say in the mid to late 90s, were not interested in that because it cost a lot of money to put in infrastructure. So they weren't, because that would not look good for them, even though that was good for the state in 20 years' time. You fast forward 20 years, Queensland can't cope with the infrastructure. A lot of Australia can't cope with the infrastructure that they need because people are moving around the place. They knew it was coming. They knew that this tsunami of people were coming, but they weren't going to do the right thing that they needed to do at the time. This is the same thing. Stop saying, let's get tough on crime. Work out why the bloody hell they're doing the crime. Rant over.
But they must have done that. They must have done that, Robbo.
They haven't done that though. They keep going. We keep hearing about mandatory sentencing in the Northern Territory and tough on crime here. Work out the beginnings of it. Now, I'm not saying that everyone. There are some grubs out there who are just grubs. No worries. I just want you. I just don't think that that's happened at the beginning where we find out why is generational? He's kind of admitting to it. This generational idea of crime, of low socioeconomic status, all of those kind of things. Why?
And look, I think you raise a good point, but we do have to understand that sometimes there is truth in statistics, and there is no doubt. And I hate to bring it up again. I grew up in Housing Commission, but you did see a cycle of poverty, and especially during the recession that we had to have, where people get desperate and they do what they need to do to survive. But when kids grow up in that and they're not given the guidance that they need, perhaps they don't have enough parental supervision, or, there are a wealth of problems out there, many different problems. It's not just one bucket. But the problem is we do have a problem. It's hard to break the cycle, and we need to look for solutions. And I do think the time has come. We keep talking about getting hard on crime, but it isn't working. And you see America where they just build more and more jails and they privatise the jails, and that doesn't work. We do need to look to European nations that are doing it differently and getting success. I don't care what your political beliefs are. I don't care if you're right, left, down the central, extremism. What I care about is actually results. And no matter what your political belief is, you have to look at the results they're getting. And I think it's the Netherlands where they have these open jails and they rehabilitate. They don't just punish, they rehabilitate. And if we want safer communities...
absolutely, we need that.
I think this is what it comes down to. All right. Let's move on. And still in Queensland, because they've had 2 Commonwealth Games, but the Sunshine State is now looking towards the Olympics. According to insiders, Queensland's bid for the 35th Olympiad is looking very good, with a decision just around the corner. But with the future of the Tokyo Games undecided and the immense cost of hosting, it got us thinking, are the Olympics worth it anymore? Ange, you've got to mix broadcasting rights with the cost of infrastructure. You're easily looking at billions and billions of dollars. Are they worth it? Should we reevaluate? Should we be chasing the Olympic dream?
No, we definitely need to reevaluate. It's like, okay.
Moving on.
So look, I mean, look, my dad is an ex-Olympian, and it's something that's very, very proud for our family. So I love the Olympics per se. But if we're just talking about the figures, like just take viewing figures, for instance, they're nowhere near what they were. And TV is dead anyway. Online content, people, that is where it's at.
Here we are.
It's a gargantuan risk, I think. I mean, we are looking 11 years out. But, for one thing, any host city almost never comes out ahead financially. I hosted CNN's coverage of the 2008 Olympics from Beijing. God, Lord, that was miserable. And they'd spent $50 billion to host it. And look, their main venues were built at an insane cost, and they were absolutely stunning. And now they're just sat there gathering mildew. But that's the same of plenty of other places as well that have hosted the Olympics. Every country always bangs on and on about how
to back you up.
Yeah,
there are documentaries, or if you go online, there are photos everywhere of Olympic cities that are just ghost towns now.
Sure.
And I will say, I think Sydney was smart by the way they used the Olympic Stadium and turned it into a football stadium. Up here in Queensland, as you go around the Gold Coast, all the Commonwealth venues have actually been done smarter and are still in use. So I do think that cities, like in Australia especially, are getting smarter at repurposing those venues.
Yeah, so Sydney's like one of the only places that I can think of that actually still makes money from its Olympic venues. Although, every country always says, oh my God, this is going to be fantastic and we're just going to repurpose everything and it will, be here till time immemorial and everybody will use it every day. And that just doesn't happen. Sure, the Olympics creates new jobs and it brings in huge dollars for tourism and like global marketing of the city. But I sort of think, when you look at the amount of money, yes, a lot of it is funded by private enterprise, but a lot of it isn't. And as a country, we're always, wringing our hands at how underfunded basic services like the police and social services and schools are. Yeah. So why are we looking at spending squillions on something that, okay, it's a nice to have. It's not a must have.
It is special, though. I was in Sydney. I was living in Sydney when the 2000 Olympics were there. And just when you didn't even have to go to the Olympics. You could go to these live sites and watch it in down at Darling Harbour and things like that. And it was special. It felt special. There was an energy in the air. That is something that isn't tangible that you can, that you can quantify in a way. But there is something special about holding the Olympics.
There is, absolutely. I'm not denying that whatsoever. I mean, it's a bloody nightmare trying to get anywhere. But it is really special. And like I said, it's 11 years out. You never know what's going to happen between now and then. We might be in some dreadful recession or whatever. And it's a lovely sort of bringing together and everybody's all kumbaya. That's great. Surely there's a way to do that doesn't require breaking the bank, which is something that could happen. It may not happen, but I think it's enough of a risk to say, well, why don't we just leave it at Sydney?
Quickly, Robbo, your thoughts?
Rob, the other thing is you just can't charge the millions or the hundreds and millions of dollars for the broadcast rights because they're not there anymore. So that's kind of the starter thing. If I can move away from the infrastructure, you just can't charge that anymore because the audience is not there. So 7, 9, 10, ABC, SBS, they can't afford to pay those fees. As the same way as Ange said, and I totally agree with her, that this idea of building these massive bits of infrastructure that, as we've seen, apart from, thankfully, Australia and a few other places, but Athens especially, like you said, Rob, you can go online, the 2004 Athens Olympics, and it is still atrocious. Like, you can see grass growing out of the Olympic pools and things like that, which is unfair, I think, to the people of Greece, unfair to the people of Athens.
They were well watered.
Yeah, they certainly were. I'm going to leave you with this because I know already if you cut my veins tonight, I bleed green. the Olympics also, whatever country or whatever city it goes to, it leaves a little bit of a foul taste. I understand what you're saying, Robin and Ange, about the wonder and the splendour and things like that of the Olympics. But Sydney is well known, and also every other Olympic city. They pick up the homeless, and all of a sudden we can house the homeless for 2 weeks. But we can't house the homeless. We can't feed them or anything. But we love to ship them out of the cities that we're
they just get
hosting.
them out of the city, mate.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm saying. So all of a sudden, there's mountains of funding to put these poor people who sleep rough. We give them a nice place to sleep, warm place, dry place to sleep, heaps of food, 3 meals a day for 2 weeks, and then after that you're on your own. That is also something I think we need to look at when it comes to the Olympics. The Olympics also needs to realise their brand isn't what it used to be. They're not as high as they used to be. Get with the times.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what happens
pretty much
with the
vote
Olympics.
green.
It'll be. Oh God! Don't even get me started. All right. Hey.
Sorry.
Hey, yeah. You.
Sorry. What?
F you.
Oh.
Offended?
What?
Well, chances are you're not. And that's certainly what producers of the ABC's Radio National discovered when they played a song with the F word in it. ABC reporter Matt Bevan tweeted, "Half an hour ago, a song was played on RN with a pretty prominent F-bomb in it, and we have received 0 texts about it. If that's not a sign of the times changing, I don't know what is." So, to reiterate, they received a grand total of 0 complaints, something that only recently would have attracted massive amounts of attention. So, is swearing acceptable now? Robert, what do you think? Are we accepting swearing in public now?
Oh, well, fuck, I don't know, Rob. I couldn't answer your question there, but
Okay, you know what you just made me realise?
I was so hoping that...
You know what you just made me realise? The answer is no.
I knew you were going to do that.
The answer is no, because I didn't like it when you did that. I didn't. Now, we can swear to our heart's content. We're on the internet. We're not broadcast. But even in a broadcast slot, we'd be an M program, so it wouldn't be a problem. But I didn't like it.
Yes. But can I say, I promised you
I was fine with
a
it.
method to my very gross madness there, and that was I thought it would offend the middle box. I didn't think it would offend the left box, but I did it as a way of A, for a bit of a gag, and B, because I thought, well, this will be a great way to test that. And I'm not even being funny or silly there. I knew what I was doing at the beginning of it, and I just thought, well, this is a great way to test that. Now, remember, an RN Radio National audience on the ABC are very old, and no one heard it. I don't want to suggest to our elderly brothers and sisters that maybe the reason there was no complaints was because they couldn't hear it. But I'm also going to suggest that I think swearing is okay nowadays.
Look, it is, and God knows I've certainly been known to swear in the workplace. Although
stop it. I've never heard.
I have
stop.
mellowed though,
No,
Robbo.
hey.
I have.
Yes, this is him mellowed.
Yeah.
With my swearing.
Yeah, this is him on air. Yeah, so, yep.
So it's funny though. I do think it's changing. I remember many years ago, the panel. Remember the panel back in the 90s?
Yeah.
I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
So
late
there'd
90s.
been a lot of criticism at Kate Lanebrook, and Rob Stitch turned to the camera and said, because someone said, "Who the hell is Kate Lanebrook?" in a letter or something to the paper, and he said, "Who the hell is Kate Lanebrook? Who the F are you?" And anyway. My grandmother was down and she was listening to 2GB or one of those stations, and they're like, "This is outrageous. The panel has sworn. It shouldn't be on TV." You know, this is the 90s where really. And I was like 14, 15 at the time, and I'm listening to her get all gallivant. You're like, "Yes, I don't think they should be swearing." And I went on and got on the phone, rang 2GB and said to them, "I think it was fine the panel had swearing." And they went, "Right, he's straight through." So they put me on air and said, "We've got this young man who thinks it was absolutely fine for the panel to swear." And I said, "Well, here's the thing. The panel had a classification warning that there would be foul language. We were warned at the beginning of the show and at every commercial break that language was part of this show. Secondly, I don't believe any of the callers coming into your show this morning actually watched the show to complain about it. They're getting up in arms at the thought of it. Big difference." They got me off
I do,
quickly.
yeah, I can imagine it. And that's why you now do internet telly. But I don't know. I mean, some of the stuff that's said on mainstream radio, when I'm trying to do the school run with my kid in the car, it's like, God, you can't say that at 3:30 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
We actually had one a few years ago when Izzy, my little boy, was 6, and we're just, bombing along. The sun's shining. It was a beautiful afternoon. The radio's on, and this song comes on, and this chick singing was like, she's a bit aggro, but that's about it. And then suddenly, in the middle, she screams, and this song is thing shit. And I'm like, quickly, go, pressing up. And I was silent, and Izzy was silent for about 2 minutes. And I thought, I have no idea whether he heard that. And he said, after about 2 minutes of silence, he said, but Mama, the thing is, she wasn't wrong.
Tonight,
but he didn't even blink. And that's how normal it is.
Before the show, I picked up my daughter from dance, my 10-year-old, and there was a swear word actually bleeped out, and she looked at me and she said, why did they do that? And so she was actually offended they got rid of the swearing. But look, it is part of life. It is part of what's happening. But that's where we are right now. I just don't know that I like it on the air so much when there's the opportunity for kids to be listening.
I certainly won't be doing that. Just a really quick newspaper article I remember. It was Boys on the Side, which was Drew Barrymore, Whoopi Goldberg, and Channel 9. Yep, beautiful film. Channel 9 aired the C word in that particular film, and that was in 1997. I remember it was splashed over every newspaper that the morals of Australia had ended. How dare Channel 9? And we're talking about. I think this particular scene happens about, I don't know, an hour and 20 minutes into this 2-hour film. So it was definitely into that time slot where kids
people
shouldn't be watching, especially
really wanted to see that film would be watching. And if you watch that movie, it's in context. You're not going to be offended by it with everything else that goes on in that movie.
But it was newspaper worthy.
Yeah, of course.
This is another reason that I love this country is because Molly's death on a country practice was front page news. This is a lovely country we live in. Let's not forget.
As it should have been. As it should have been.
It should have been too. Yeah. But there you go. A country practice also streaming on 7+. Don't do it now. Do it at what?
Hang on. They haven't paid a bill. I'm sending them an invoice for that. Hey, look, we've got to get to some exciting news. Jason's coming up in a moment. Stand by. But I've got some exciting news because Mandy Moore has given birth to a baby boy. She announced the arrival of Gus on Instagram saying, our sweet boy, August Harrison Goldsmith. He was punctual and arrived right on his due date. We were prepared to fall in love in all sorts of brand new ways, but it goes beyond anything we could ever have imagined. Ange, some nice news there from your old friend Mandy Moore. You're a big friend of hers, aren't you?
Oh, yeah.
Sorry,
I'm gutted she didn't get in touch to tell me personally. You know what, Mans? Your baby wasn't the only one who was punctual. I was punctual too when I turned up to my own makeup room and you refused to let me in. Didn't see you going all gushy over me, but yeah, congratulations, Meanie. I mean, Mandy. Come here.
That's a trigger. I love it. I've just thrown the reel out, hook, line, and sinker. I only put that story in, which would usually be an entertainment hit, a quick one with Jason. I only put that in to get you going off about Mandy Moore. For those who don't know, Mandy Moore kicked Angeli out of her own dressing room. And Angeli was not allowed to speak to her. Angeli has never forgiven her. So all I'm going to say is,
I'm over it, Rob.
When Ange is on the real, she's over it. When Ange is on the Real Housewives of Melbourne, seriously, if one of them, I would just love one of them to. I'm going to set that up. I'm going to get Gina or someone in your dressing room before you arrive.
Who's Gina?
And as you come in,
I know.
she turns around and says, I'm in here, bitch. Piss off. And see how you react.
That's nasty. Why are you so cruel to me?
Wait. You know, funny is if someone was in Angelique's dressing room. They don't know who. There's cameras there. She finally breaks through, and it's me and Rob. Hi, Ange. What are you doing?
Make
sorry.
it happen.
No, Angelique
Make
wouldn't
it
be afraid
happen.
to tell us to nick off.
Absolutely. Except I wouldn't do it in that word.
That's true. Hey, look, it's time to find out what's happening in the world of entertainment with our fabulous entertainment reporter, Jason Roses. What's coming up, my friend?
Thanks, Rob. Coming up in the entertainment report, which Hollywood celebrity is facing career ruin after being charged with rape? It is a developing story, and I'll bring you the very latest. And there are some big changes coming to The Simpsons after one of the original actors is told they can't voice their own character anymore. The word is out that I'm returning to Married at First Sight in an upcoming episode. Woo! And Rob says I have to dish the dirt. Let's just see what happens.
Yes, you
and a
do.
live TV blooper that will leave you laughing. And it happened on Channel 7. The entertainment report is coming up in around 15 minutes. I'll see you back then. Back to you, Rob.
Thank you very much, Jason. Well, he is a legend of Australian jazz music, boasting some A-list fans of his own. He recently released a new album called Jazz and Cocktails, and he joins us now. Greg Arthur, welcome to the Ange, Rob and Robbo Show.
Rob McKnight, wonderful to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Look, I've got to say, your rendition of Unforgettable, it's one of those songs, and the way you perform it just leaves you in a moment. It actually just makes you stop and almost forget the troubles, any troubles that you've got. You sort of just melt away with the way you sing it.
Your wife wrote that out for you.
You didn't, did you? It's true though. I was listening to your music and I was just like, I feel so much better. But look, your name is synonymous with Australian jazz music. Why do you think jazz is such a timeless genre? And I feel like it's making a comeback at the moment.
I do too. I think it's a timeless genre because a long time ago, when the Great American Songbook was being written, people were writing poetry first, and it came from the heart. It was a piece of someone's life was going into the lyrics. I think that's why the songs are relevant today, and people that are in their 20s that have a soul come up and say, "Would you please sing My Funny Valentine?" You know, and there's truth in them. They weren't just created hits. They weren't manufactured.
You have had an amazing career, and I agree with all of that. But you've worked with the same musicians as Frank Sinatra, Tony Bennett, and Sammy Davis Jr. What has been your career highlight? Because people don't know this. You have done so much all around the world.
You're my new best friend. It's a Christmas list over here. I'm just all of the above has been my favorite moment. Making friends with people like Clayton Cameron, who is called the Brushmaster. He's a drummer in the United States he's just extraordinary. And for a vocalist to work with somebody like Clayton, you get to appreciate how subtle he is, but still being rhythmic and exciting. Who else? Tom Rainier, who you would hear him play piano every year at the Primetime Emmys and the Oscars. And he's worked with Lady Gaga, Barbara Streisand.
Just a few people.
Yeah, and he's recorded many albums with all of these great artists, Tony Bennett. And what's interesting...
Let me ask you about Tony Bennett, and I'm sorry to interrupt, because you sound like a fan of these people, but Tony Bennett, I know for a fact, is a big fan of yours. What's it like to have the approval of someone like him?
It's like a letter from the Pope.
Yeah. Did you ever get to meet Tony?
I have, but I don't. It doesn't mean that I'm his friend. You know,
Understand.
Anybody can meet. He's a very generous and caring person. Anybody can meet him, and they put a piece of paper in front of him, and he'll sign his autograph, and he'll have his picture taken with you. I'm not one of those people that likes to gush and take selfies with people like that, but. I was working one night in Las Vegas and Vinnie Falcone said, I can't work Friday night. I've just been hired by Tony Bennett. And I said, that's a very good excuse.
You see, you're an interesting man because a lot of people in showbiz, they're in the same room as someone and say, oh, yeah, I'm friends with Prince Harry. You have done more than meet Tony Bennett. You have interacted with him and you don't claim friendship, and I admire that because it's so easy for people to do that in this industry. You are a very down-to-earth man with a lot of great music, and I really want to make sure everyone watching this checks out Greg's latest album, Jazz and Cocktails. Greg, really, really great pleasure to meet you. Thank you for coming on the Ange, Rob and Robbo show.
Oh, I want to do another hour. I'm enjoying it.
Hey, there's only so much praise I have in me for other people. That's not me. So
it's wonderful to meet you. Thank you very much.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you, mate.
It's the red light shot of the day. Where are you going today? You never know where you'll end up with the red light shot of the day.
Well, all aboard. We're taking you on the buses. This is a feed that gives you a bird's eye view of buses travelling throughout London. It's a partly cloudy day today at a low of 9 degrees and a top of 16 degrees. Very busy out there at the... Are they in lockdown? Probably they are. Beautiful part of the world. Let's get to feedback. Holfer Williams says, yes, Rob, I speak from experience. Hugs. That may be something from your personal feedback there, Rob. I don't know what that means.
that was about the looking at the generational problems with bringing people up and the issues going on.
Oh, yeah, all right, hugs. Carlotta, beautiful Carol says, if you're going to have children, remember if it's you who have to guide them through adulthood if you don't have children. There's a wonderful shot of an empty bus there as we go down. I think, oh my goodness, this is live shots of the bus, of the driver. And, no, it's a passenger. As we go outside,
one passenger.
Live pictures.
I didn't know it was one passenger. Anyway, come on.
London. Here, Jason Turner says, please no Olympics in Queensland. There goes the bus, a live bus feed. Jason doesn't want the Olympics in Queensland. Dylan says, good point, Robbo, same name, on the homeless people. Dylan's a new person. Oh, they're looking for the next bus. You've just missed. You found another one. Run to that. Run. Lynn says, I didn't swear until my kids were teenagers. They taught me. Oh, he tried to get that bus just went right past that poor fella. Jeanette says, I learnt more of swearing working with young people and in hospitals. Lol, let's just make sure our frantic... Get on the bus. Here we go. There's a bus driver there. Your Opel car doesn't
all right. We're running out of time.
Sorry, I'm actually thrilled by this. I'm sorry. I know we're going to get to Jason and the news update. Yeah, if you want to share your feedback, just follow the ARR show on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, or in the other ones at ARR.
The ARR and Rob and Robbo. All right.
I can't keep up. Can we get the same names for different?
I know, we'll work on it.
Follow us?
Hey,
yeah.
We've had our topics of the day, but right now Bruno's just around the corner. Jason is coming up with maths goss, but right now let's get you a news update with Anjali Rao.
Indeed. Getting you right up to speed now with some of the day's other news-making stories. A doctor has been stood down after administering incorrect doses of the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine to 2 aged care residents in Queensland, having reportedly failed to complete compulsory vaccine training. The vaccine is meant to be given twice, 3 weeks apart, but the doctor allegedly administered the doses consecutively. Health Minister Greg Hunt has asked the Department of Health to take action against the doctor and Healthcare Australia, the company responsible for providing vaccinations within aged care facilities. Tiger Woods is awake, responsive and recovering in his hospital room following surgery after a horrific car crash that could have cost him his life. It happened on a sweeping downhill stretch of road in LA, the car flipping onto its side and the golfing legend having to be rescued using the jaws of life. Woods released a statement after his operation, stating he'd undergone a long surgical procedure on his lower right leg and ankle and thanking every support. Late this afternoon, the Senate voted in favour of increasing job seeker support to $80 a day, taking it above the poverty line. The motion passed 31-30, with backing from the Greens, Labour and Jackie Lambie, and follows yesterday's daily benefit increase of $44, which Scott Morrison said was appropriate. However, the rise will be paired with much stricter obligations for dole claimants. The bill now goes back to the lower house, where it's unlikely to pass. Former Liberal staffer Brittany Higgins has made a formal complaint to federal police about her alleged rape at Parliament House 2 years ago. Higgins originally met with authorities directly after the incident, but decided not to pursue action because she feared losing what she called her dream job, but now wants her alleged rapist to face the full extent of the law. The formal complaint was lodged on the same day it was announced Defence Minister Linda Reynolds had taken medical leave and been admitted to hospital as a precautionary measure. Senator Reynolds was due to address the National Press Club today, where she was expected to face questions about her handling of sexual allegations made by Ms Higgins. And to the UK, where Prince Philip remains in hospital, where he's being treated for an infection. Buckingham Palace stating today that he is not expected to leave for several days. The palace says the 99-year-old, who was admitted while feeling unwell, is comfortable and responding to treatment. His youngest son, Prince Edward, says his dad's main problem is that he's bored of watching the clock and walls. And for anybody who thinks that they may have misheard me, I said clock and walls. And we'll have a possible shower at a top of 32. Brisbane will also see a possible shower and a max of 29. A shower or two for Sydney and 28. Canberra's in for much the same, a shower or two and 26. Melbourne will be mostly sunny and 23. Hobart will see an afternoon shower or two and 20 the top. Adelaide is in for a partly cloudy day and 23. Perth will be sunny and 32. Same for Alice Springs, sunny and 33. And Darwin will be in for showers and a possible storm, a top of 30. Now it's back to Mr. Rob McKnight.
Thank you very much. And straight away, we're going to bring in our good friend, Bruno Boucher, as we travel down the rabbit hole. Hello, Bruno.
Hey, gang. How's it all going?
Oh, this is my favourite segment of the week, Bruno. What have you got for us?
So hot. Why is he so sexy?
I am right. Listen, I need to get your take on something. So, look, I catch a lot of Ubers because I drink a lot, right? And in order for me to keep a very good star rating, I do a few things to endear myself to the driver, and one of them is making sure that I take note of their first name and that I refer to them by their first name. Yeah, just so they feel like they've gotten the personalised Bruno service, which is very important.
And you want a good rating back.
Exactly. So hopping into, I ordered an Uber today at work and I got the little confirmation that popped up. And normally, it'll be a name like, Daniel is on his way, or Muhammad, or Kim, they're on their way, and I'll remember that. I'll go, when I jump in, I'll go, g'day, Mo, how's the day been? I took a screenshot of the name that I got today. I just wondered if anyone was keen to have a shot at pronouncing that one.
Well, Abdul Hussein bin Abdullah Hussein. Oh, you took it off, Amanda. I was still reading that.
Abdul Hussein bin Abdullah Hassana Jahashi.
There you go, Bruno. It was doable.
Sorry. Meanwhile, it's telling me Abdul Hussein Jawashi is 3 minutes away, and I'm going, oh shit, okay, I've got to learn it. I didn't learn it. It was very difficult. I fear that my star rating may have been impacted severely, which is just a bummer. But I got really curious about this guy. I looked him up on social media and everything. I was like, what's his story and what's life like having such a long first name? It can't be easy, imagine you're doing a maths test and you've got to write your name up the top. By the time you finish writing your name, everyone's already finish the test, you know. So I was like, what a poor guy. So I was looking him up more on Uber, and he wrote something, and it just like, oh, it broke my heart, because the drivers can fill out like a little bit of a questionnaire. And so one of the questions was, why do you drive Uber? And I've got the screenshot of his reply here. To survive in Australia.
Oh. You know what? That is actually a thing we don't often think about when we're getting our Ubers. You know, like people, or any of these kind of service jobs, that people are doing it tough and trying to survive, and they're picking themselves up and doing jobs that perhaps other people don't want to do. Good on him. I will say, Bruno.
Sorry, Rob, I agree with that absolutely, but I think change your name to Kevin or Dan or, Dave or...
Why should he have to anglicise his name?
Absolutely.
Oh, I'm just trying to make... Oh, my...
You know what? That's such a great...
I was just trying to have a little joke here. Sorry, Bruno. Bruno, if you could start talking about really serious issues, like anything. I was just trying to kind of give a nice ending to you.
Sorry, Robbo.
I was about to jump in and mention that, sometimes you'll meet someone with a very heavy foreign accent, and you'll be like, "Oh, hello, what's your name?" And they'll say Gary, and you'll be like, I see some ID here. I don't, someone with a foreign name. I don't think you're Gary. You don't strike me as a Gary.
But Bruno, it's funny, when I saw that name, I had this vision of you getting into the car and him saying, "G'day, mate, how you going?"
I will tell you, I gave him 5 stars and I gave him the maximum tip that I could give him, but he did do something which really annoyed me. When I hopped in, he goes, "Hey, do you want any music?" And I go, yeah. I go, "Look, I love all types of music, so you just put on whatever is your favorite thing to listen to." And he put on a radio station, which I've never worked for, Nova 969. So, I've always really hated that network because they've never offered me a job. And I was just seething, how could he like this station that never had any interest in me?
How could he know? How could he know? How could he possibly know, Bruno? He would know if he did his research on you before you got in the car, because you've made news.
Hey, you had a Z-grade celebrity about to jump into his Uber. Why not do a bit of a little bit of a check?
Absolutely. Hey, you will be back next week, and maybe, just maybe, we're going to get to that topic we've had on the shelf for 3 or 4 weeks, but not a necessity.
I've been emailing for the past 4 weeks saying that I want to do this particular topic, and it keeps on getting bumped for riveting content, such as Bruno's right for discussions. So,
I'm happy.
It was worth it.
Side note, we were talking about Bo Ryan last week and how he, might have taken an issue with some things I said in the press. He's following me on Twitter now. So I don't know if that's all is forgiven, or I don't know if that's I'm coming to get you.
Oh, no, he's all good. I spent the weekend with him. We were just lounging by his pool.
Yes, we saw the Speedos.
In our Speedos. And he said to me, "Bro, I'm following Rob now."
He mentioned it. Well, tell him it made my day. Anyway, Bruno, we will see you next week. Thank you, my friend.
Love you guys so much. Have a lovely evening.
You too, mate.
Bye, Bruno. Jesus creepers, he's attractive. And when I saw those Speedos, and then you saw the whole package, that French baguette, the croissant, the brie, I don't care what it was, the escargot, it was something. Take a shot of Bruno now, he's still with us. It gave me... That's exactly what my face was like when I saw that picture. I couldn't like it more. I kept tapping. I was like, tap, 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 tap. I couldn't give it more love than I saw it anyway. I hope you didn't hear that.
Wow. All right.
Yeah.
We need a big change of pace because the entertainment report is starting off with something very serious. Thank you, Bruno. We'll see you next week. But let's bring in Jason Roses now, who is joining us from his Canberra studio. Jason, we want to start off with some serious allegations about a French actor have come to light.
Yeah, Gerardo Depardieu, I think that's how I pronounce it. The actor has been accused of raping a young woman in his home in 2018. Now, he was charged back in December, but the charges have only come to light until now. They are extremely serious, and again, he's been charged with rape and sexual assault. The case had been closed, but it's since recently been reopened. They're not sure what's prompted authorities, but his lawyer has come out and said that Gerardo deplored that this information was made public. He totally disputes the fact, which is why he's accused, and the attorney, however, representing the victim, has hoped that her client's private sphere is respected. So certainly a lot more to open up on this case, but some very serious charges and allegations being thrown towards Gerardo.
Gerard Depardieu, although I'm sure Ange can say it much better.
How do I pronounce the name? We did a run-through.
We did do a run-through. Gerard.
Okay. Bold. It is Gérard Depardieu.
Yeah, Gérard.
D'accord?
Depardieu.
Oui.
Well,
Alors.
Never have said it like
Gérard
that.
Depardieu. Yep.
You can tell you're young because people of my age, Jason, know him very well because he was a very big actor. He was a very big Hollywood actor. He did romantic comedies. He was much loved. So seeing him in this light, it's really you know, it's heartbreaking that if he did this or if he's been accused, you know, like it's this whole thing again and again and again, isn't it, when it comes to celebrities? Yeah. And we see this other side. Anyway.
But he's got to see his day in court. Give him his day in court
Absolutely.
and let it all play out.
Correct.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Let's talk about The Simpsons now, Jason Roses, and they are making good on their promise by having non-white actors voice their characters?
Yes, they are indeed. So after 31 years, the guy who has basically voiced the African-American doctor, Julius Hibbert, he has been basically removed from the role. The guy's name is Harry Shearer. He's a white actor. He, in fact, won an Emmy in 2014. He's been relieved from the position. The new role is now going to Kevin Michael Richardson. But it is important to note Shearer, who's now 77, he has questioned the decision and has come out and said, I have a very simple belief about acting. The job of an actor is to play someone who they are not. I am not a nuclear-rich plant owner. I'm not a Bible-believing Christian who lives next door to Homer. I'm not any of those people.
Yes.
So he has come out and basically said, I don't agree with the decision. And can I be honest, I also agree with his statement.
Yep.
Actors have to play a part. I mean, you can't just go and start... The world's getting too political.
Look, this is the big problem with acting, and we've talked about it on this show, that the whole point of acting is being someone you are not. We are now getting to the point where you can only be the person you are. And I think that's a shame because Meryl Streep's going to be out of work. She's played anyone but herself. And the simple fact is,
very good point.
You know, she's played an Australian. She's been known for her accents. And, you know, like, where do we draw the line? I think it's getting serious. Silly. I think it's getting silly. But
absolutely. I think it's getting absolutely ridiculous. You know, Jace, we aren't the only ones who just cannot get enough of you, right? The headlines also can't. As it would seem.
I know. I have been in the Daily Mail again. Check out the article. We're just going to pop it up.
Oh, we're just going to have a look now.
Have a look at me. Just have a look at me. I feel like Kim Kardashian. So as you guys know, I attended a maths wedding on Monday evening. It was the wedding of Bryce and Melissa. And a lot of drama is starting to unfold. And the heading basically reads that I'm coming back onto maths later. Is it true? I can reveal yes. I have been invited. I was invited to go back to the final date. Yes.
Wait,
so that's the
married?
wedding. I don't know. You'll be able to see me there. Just take a look. There's Bryce.
Don't blink. Don't blink, everyone.
Keep your
eyes open. You're going to miss it. You're going to miss it.
Stop it. Jason, are you getting married?
Hey!
Is that what's happening?
Did you see me, Robbo? Did you see me?
Yeah, I saw you, and I don't want to see.
I saw you. I was like this. I was like that, and I was like, oh, no,
Okay.
I saw you.
I'm not. No, hold on, Jay. I'm not like these two bitches. I want to know: are you getting married? Is that why you're on there? What's the big announcement?
Okay, the big announcement basically is that a lot of rumours have been plaguing Bryce as maths continues that he possibly.
You marrying Bryce?
No, I'm not marrying Bryce, but he had a girlfriend on the outside. Basically, when I went to that final dinner date, I was talking to someone off camera. So I thought the camera wasn't recording me, and I might have said something that is going to cause big. I think I threw my friend under the bus. Wait, he's not my friend, but
better.
yes. I don't know.
The cameras are always rolling. Ange, tell him you're the reality TV star.
Seriously, it's like, you gotta know. This is reality TV 101, Jace. You're never alone with a microphone. Repeat after me.
I'm never alone without a microphone. And what I said was now shown to the entire cast of Married at First Sight. So I'm really
at the reunion, wasn't it?
Sorry?
It was at the reunion where they saw this.
It was at the reunion, and they basically said, Bryce, if you think you're telling the truth, this is what your friend had to say in secret. I come out.
wow.
I know. I just, so
No.
I'm still going to be in the Daily Mail for weeks to come.
Well, we love that. And if there's anyone deserving of it besides me, it's you, Jason.
Well, I was going to say, I now know what Rob feels like being in the Daily Mail every week.
You're legitimately there.
I know, I am there.
Oh, no.
Well, that's some good tea from someone who's actually appearing in the biggest show on Australian TV right now. I'm glad you're coming back. I'm glad they've seen the value, and I'm glad you didn't waste your opportunity and you're creating some drama. The producers will love you for that. Before we go, Jason, quickly tell us. We'll quickly have a look at this clip. There's been a blooper.
Oh my gosh, it's on Sunrise. It's so bizarre. Let's just quickly take a look at it. We're going to run you through the video.
Bianca Stone is in Brisbane, obviously.
She's being mauled by a zombie.
To her now.
Good morning. There are some scary
Very-
scenes outside Queensland Parliament right now.
You don't want to interview the zombie, Bianca?
Yeah. It makes me very uncomfortable watching this.
Live TV.
So,
Anything to say?
okay, can we just stop playing the video now? Okay, so this is a protester from the Extinction Rebellion Climate Change Project Group, and basically they were protesting climate change and their zombies coming from the future to warn us all. I mean, you know what? All these protesters, the vegans, just act normal.
Mate, truer words have never been said. Jason, you are brilliant. We love you. Thank you for ending the night on a good note. Thank you, everyone, for today. It's been a big show.
No. Yeah, hold on a minute. Ticker's already dropped us, so should we do on this day? Because I put a lot of work into it.
No, we end with me. We do,
Robbo.
with you.
We've ended. The show has come to an end despite what Ticker does. All right, we'll finish up. Thanks very much. See you tomorrow, everyone.
Daily Mail?
And Rob the Robbo Show.